Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day so far. So, the following comes from the making of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. And if you haven't seen the series already, I've done the entire thing for the Return of the Jedi. This one comes from Chapter 1, Part 2, The Empire Strikes Back Story Conference and The Empire Strikes Back Treatment. So this transcript is from a story conference between George Lucas and his writer, as well as an early treatment for The Empire Strikes Back. And here George is trying to figure out how Luke can find Dagobah to get trained by Minch. Yep. Good old Minchie. Minch Yoda was an even earlier name for Yoda that I covered in another video. Now, for your ease, and to obviously push this video over 10 minutes, just being real, I'm going to put the comic that I covered regarding Yoda, or young Yoda, Minch Yoda, at the end of this video as well, so I hope you enjoyed that. Anyways, Lucas hadn't yet come up with it being Obi-Wan's Force ghost telling him to go there. Instead, he played with a secret hologram hidden within Anakin's lightsaber, or a mysterious talisman belonging to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now I'm going to cover both versions because George Lucas had two, but I'm also going to introduce you guys to Minch and show you how we would have seen Yoda use a lightsaber in The Empire Strikes Back first and not Attack of the Clones. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm skipping over a lot of Han and Leia stuff, but I just want to keep this one juicy for the Yoda fans out there. The appropriate way for Luke to go off to become a Jedi Knight would be for him to be called. He has a feeling he has to go someplace. It can't be an accident. Luke might receive some messages from Obi-Wan, some kind of code that he figures out is a signal beacon. He's constantly trying to figure it out, so there is a little mystery going on, says George. It could be something that Ben left him. It could be something that he hasn't even thought about and just finds it in his pocket one day. It could be in his sword handle. Whatever it is should be connected with the sword because we saw Ben give Luke the sword. He's practicing with the sword and he actually bumps something the wrong way, and something crystal clear with lots of shattered glass in it would pop out of the handle. It would be like a hologram. It would be an infinite amount of information in a storage memory system, a holographic storage system. He doesn't know how to decipher it, so he shows it to R2, who would say it is a crystalline holographic memory system containing 3,254 bits of information. And George says this sarcastically, as it writes. Most of it is in a configuration that is incomprehensible to me, although some of it appears to be coordinates for various star systems, he says. So now this kind of reminds me of what J.J. Abrams did with the map to Luke in The Force Awakens. George Lucas then soon drops this idea and uses the talisman instead. Luke tells Han that he is going to check out a glint on the next ridge. Next in the 9-page typed treatment, Luke is bashed in the face by a snow monster. A prisoner in the ice cave, he is affected by the talisman that hangs around his neck, which was given to Luke by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Talking to himself, he feels he must go to the planet described on Ben's talisman. Luke uses the Force to escape from the ice monster's cave and makes it back to the Rebel base by himself. So that's right, there's no Han that saves him or anything. And now I'm going to skip ahead a little further because the Imperial attack on Hoth base happens and I'm going to skip that out. Because Luke was wounded, he passed out in his X-Wing on the way to the planet described in the talisman. R2-D2 pilots the plane to a crash landing in the swamp, which awakens Luke. Luke meets Minch Yoda and gives him food. The creature eventually claims to be a Jedi Master, the teacher of Ben Kenobi. Yoda lifts the X-Wing out of the swamp to prove his powers, and not long afterwards, Minch uses Luke's laser sword to kill a monster that attacks them. And this is all in quotes, by the way, so Yoda's name was supposed to be Minch, according to George Lucas. Luke practices with the sword and seeker balls, defending himself against a dozen laser beams. And there you have it for today. So, which would you guys have preferred? The hologram or the talisman? And would you want Yoda's name to be Minch Yoda? This would officially give his first name in canon. And since George did come up with this, it is, well, in my opinion at least, it is the original canon as to what he wrote when he was making Episode 5. However, of course, he dropped the idea and just went with Yoda, so it's kind of out the window. But it kind of makes you wonder. Now, one would also wonder if Anakin had placed that hologram in his hilt, wouldn't he know where Yoda is? Of course, it could have been Obi-Wan who placed it there for Luke in case anything should happen to him, but it does make you think. Would you guys have liked to see Yoda fight a monster with Luke's lightsaber? How would that have looked without CGI? And how do you feel about the name Minch? I can cover all of these in the next coming videos, so there are parts 2, 3, 4, 5 that go, way into detail for Episode 5. And also Episode 4, Episode 2, Episode 1. And I skipped out 3 because I've pretty much covered all of Episode 3's making of. Alright, so now that we're at the end of the video, let's watch the old video that I made. It's not that old, it's like a year ago, of the Yoda story, the Minch Yoda story, as I've brought it to life. And the disclaimer before we begin is that I was using a much older microphone. All my stuff is way higher tech now, so sorry for the older audio, but hey, still a good video. Enjoy. Hey guys, boy, do I have a really interesting video for you today. So, today's video, we're going to learn about Yoda's first name. Now, before we begin, I want to say this was made by George Lucas, but it didn't even make it into the canon of his time before Lucasfilm was sold. So, this made it to a super small tidbit that not many know about, but the story is fun nonetheless. Yoda is the most ambiguous and mysterious character in Star Wars. We don't know his first name, or his last name, where he comes from, or even when he was exactly born. So here it is. Yoda's first name was supposed to be Minch.
What?
Now, obviously this never made it into canon, but it did make itself into a Dark Horse comic in 2003 called Heart of Darkness in the Star Wars Tales series. Now, Star Wars Tales was basically like the Legends of Legends back when George was still in charge. We have a young Yoda species who had just become a Jedi Knight, and his name was Minch. He fought with the Jedi 700 years before the Battle of Yavin, as we can see here. In this scene, he's fighting a dark Jedi in a battle station.
The Council must be desperate to send Padawans after us. A Jedi Knight, I am. Foresee the future. The days of the Jedi are numbered, and the legions of Bafashi grows. You cannot defeat us all. Defeat you, we have. Defeat you, I will.
Big talk, little one.
Don't worry, Minch. We've got it. Surrender, Darksider. We have you outnumbered. Where is your master? You have won this time, Jedi. But I will tell you nothing!
As the Dark Jedi kills himself like a samurai would in loss of battle, the Jedi Masters run outside to their starships to chase the Dark Side Master. However, he sets course to the nearest planet, Dagobah.
Setting course for pursuit. Escaping he is.
Stand down, Minch. Navclum says it's Dagobah. No technology, massive life form reading, strong storms in the upper atmosphere. He crash lands on Dagobah where his ship is rendered in bad shape. He then searches for his target through the swamps of the planet when he ignites his lightsaber and catches him on the run. As the Dark Jedi Master leads him into the cave that Luke entered in The Empire Strikes Back, or so I'm led to believe, the voice calls out to Minch.
A Jedi? You are but a child, small and weak, full of fear and anger.
As Minch tells him that he's not a child and that size matters not, the two fight in a lightsaber duel of green and red. When the Darkseid Master grows 10 times in size, then shrinks to hundreds of little versions of himself, all attacking like ants. As they tell him that he cannot win, that if he strikes them down, that they'll become more powerful. As they engulf Minch, he swings and slashes to wake up and see the Bafashi laying on the corner of the wall, dying, telling him that his mind is weak, full of fear and anger, that he will make a fine addition to the Dark Jedi one day. As he dies, Minch gets a call from his crew. They are landing on Dagobah and will take him back to safety with them. It was over, Minch said.
Complete is our mission.
As the Bafashi Master fades away into the ground, Minch says,
Away from this cursed place, the sooner the better.
On this fateful day on the remote planet, forever is changed the balance of the Force. A new place of power, anointed with the sweat of the just and the blood of the wicked, is founded. As the story ends, the Dark Master's blood is absorbed into the alive planet of Dagobah, where his dark side energy will forever become one with the cave and planet itself. So, although this cool story is extremely Legends territory, I find it interesting how George at least signed off on giving us a story that's like this. Even if we didn't get Minch Yoda, we did get a Minch story. Now, many out there believe today that this is Yoda in his younger years, and this Legends comic was made just to show his life in that time. But I believe if they were going to do that, they would refer to him as Yoda himself, although you never really know for sure, and we never really will. Thanks for watching today's comic video. Alright, I'm gonna cut it there before we get to the cheesy, old-style outro. The Force will be with you. Good times, though. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Now, fulfill your